not working.
You're here.
How about that? How about now? Is that better?
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 24th, 2019
Still not
meeting
working.
of the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners. This is our formal session, and to begin, I'll ask if Justin would like to lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Justin. And now we'll move on to our invitation.
The mic is not working.
I can't hear.
We'll move on to our invitation area. Do you have anybody here you'd like to introduce?
I do. I'd like to introduce Pastor John Palacios, who, along with his wife, Kim, pastor the Northwest Harvest Church in McMinnville. Pastor Palacios and his wife have pastored in San Jose and in Madrid, Spain, and led mission teams to Mexico, South America, Europe, and Africa. Thank you very much, Pastor, for being here. Do appreciate it.
Thank you. First of all, Father, we give thanks to you for this group of leaders, this Board of Commissioners, and we pray for them, your blessing and your help today in this meeting. We just ask, God, that you would give a spirit of wisdom and insight into all the proceedings of this day. We ask you, Lord, that just to guide and to help in every facet of this meeting today. We ask for peace over the proceedings, and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor John.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting today. I ask that if you have a cell phone that you put it on vibrate or turn it off for the courtesy of everybody in the audience. And if you do need to make a call or return a text, we ask that you please step outside the chambers to do so. Also, if you want to, if we have a card and you want to testify on anything during the public comment period, we ask that you fill out one of the brown cards and give it to Caroline over, and she'll make sure it gets up where it belongs. And then the other thing is, if it's an agenda item you're here to speak about, especially the public hearing, you can fill out the green card and make sure you fill that out and get it up to Caroline again. She'll bring it up to us, so we'll make sure we get you on the record. If for some reason you haven't filled out a card and you do want to testify when we get to that agenda item, please raise your hand and we'll call you forward, and then you can fill out the card, Caroline. So that being said, first of all, we'll move through our consent agenda. So we have some items on our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Sure, Commissioner. I think we skipped the public comment.
Oh, excuse me, public comment. Thank you, Ken. Public comment period. So let's see, I have several right now. So we ask when you come forward, I'm not going to limit your testimony to 3 minutes, but we ask for the courtesy of everybody here that may want to testify that you keep your comments brief and keep them to the point at which you intend to testify. And if we feel you're going on too long, I may ask you to cut your testimony short, your comment short. So first of all, we'll go with Mary Bryant. Mary, if you want to come forward. Again, state your name and address for the record.
And Mary Bryant, it's 6395 Northwest High Heaven Road, McMinnville. And I'll limit it to 3 minutes. I've gotten really good at this. What I wanted to talk about was, we've been talking since October about the locked gate across the public road on High Heaven Road that's blocking access for people in case of fire, etc. It connects to another public road. And what I wanted to go over, and I know I did talk about it a little bit before, but the timeline just amazes me. So October 15th, I brought this to the attention of Mary Scarrett by email. The following Monday, I called the commissioner's office and I was directed to talk to Stan Krimovich. 2 weeks later, the permit was transferred as is to Weyerhaeuser. So Willamette had the permit in '01. We had a hostile takeover. Weyerhaeuser got the permit to the gate in '02. For 16 years, there's no permit on the gate. I bring up a lot of information that has changed. Additional houses, the fire danger, creating a recreation area where you're charging people thousands of dollars to go beyond the gate. to make campfires, hunt, do all kinds of things, 365 days a year, but as a taxpayer that's lived up there 21 years and in the county 26, I can't drive on the road. So 11/1 transferred as is. 2 weeks, done. On 11/6, when I went back to an informal session, lucky for me, Stan Primovich said, you know what, this is a safety issue. Since then, a lot of people had perished in California, and I think he started to see, wow, this is kind of scary. So he said, you know what, talk to Weyerhaeuser, Kinhuffer, come back to us in a month. You have a month to talk to Weyerhaeuser, and let us know if they'll issue keys to the gate. Because the permit did say persons with legitimate reasons should go beyond the gate. And I think fire danger is a pretty good legitimate reason. So a month later, they meet. I go to that informal session, and the first couple seconds felt like nobody remembered what we were coming back for a month before. But then they said, okay, Weyerhaeuser said no, they're not going to issue keys. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Lucky for me again, Stan Primovich said, you know what? Let's hold a hearing. Let's hold a hearing to try to change that permit so maybe we can get keys to the people that we know have a safety issue above Willis Road and below the gate, below the road obstruction across a public road that connects to another public road. So what happened then was we had a hearing, January 10th, and at the hearing, the newspaper stated, oh, the commissioners have decided to leave the gate. Well, I was here, and they didn't decide anything. What I remember them saying was that, hey, talk to Weyerhaeuser. Give them a month to decide if they want to give the people above high heaven keys to the gate. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we just waited a month, and they said no, in writing. So we're going to give them another month and ask them again, hey, what do you think? So we're waiting. Then I came to the informal session Tuesday where Casey, Mr. Kula, asked that we put on to vote today to just rescind the agreement. Rescind that agreement that very quickly was transferred to another company that's doing something totally different up there at a time where we have way more homes. So anyway, that was knocked down. You can't do that. We have to wait till February. We have to wait till February 5th. But then we couldn't remember what we were coming back for. And it's been a week, and we have 3 more weeks to wait, or 2, or whatever it is. So that's my frustration in this whole thing. And then the other frustration, there's a Whitecom tower up there with a gate. The big thing was the county doesn't want to issue the keys. You should look at that gate that goes to a very, very, important tower. There's zillions of locks. So I don't know who the 20 people are that own a lock, but everybody puts their lock within a lock, within a lock, within a lock. People hunt up there. I don't know if they're county people or what, but it's kind of odd. So that's my 2 cents. It's just the frustration, and I hope that when we come back on the 5th, we look at everything. We look at all the testimony, how important it is, that road is for people like me that have been up there for a long time. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mary. Second, I'll call up Chris Gabrielson. So Chris, if you can come forward and again state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Chris Gabrielson. I'm at 470 Northwest Eric Court in McMinnville. And I'm here to support the inclusivity proclamation that Casey Kula has brought forward, and as well as stopping.
Mr. Chair, that's an agenda
Well, I wonder
item.
why they brought me up now, because I marked on there what it
It's an
was.
agenda item, so we'll, if we can, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that's fine, because it wasn't shown on here that this was for a particular agenda item, so I'll mark that down.
Okay, well, I did put 2 things, so maybe it was for the other one. I'll just say that I also am against the invocation prayer and would like to see it stopped.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
fine, so we'll Okay, so then we'll ask if it's not an agenda item, you only want to make general public comments, I will call up John Peterson. So John, and again state your name and address for the record.
John Peterson, 10623 Northeast Fox Farm Road, Dundee. And I'm also here about the proclamation, so that's,
Okay,
we're now moved into that.
Okay, that's an agenda item that we.
I think we'll do it after the.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll call it.
Well, I mean,
It's why I wrote it on the form. I'm confused.
Is it here?
Oh, yeah.
I don't see it on the agenda. Which you consider the agenda. Yeah, it's here somewhere.
All right, is there anybody else in the audience who would like to make general comments on anything that is not on our agenda today?
Where is it on the agenda? Oh, look there.
Okay, if not,
It sounded like there was a question from the audience. No, got it.
okay, so then we have no more public comment. We'll move on to our consent agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Convenience, did you,
It's public comment, we don't answer questions.
no, I just, I wanted to offer that because it's the consent agenda, I would like to recuse myself because of one of the items that's on there. But,
Okay, so we'll need to pull
Commissioner
that.
Stare, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to move approval of the consent agenda.
Sorry. Christian and I just talked about, I was seeing a potential conflict with item number 6 on the consent agenda, and that one of the people who's being proposed to join the investment committee is my mother-in-law, and so I wanted to just step away since it is a consent agenda. It's going to get passed anyway.
So we will, the record will note that you
Thank you.
on item number 6, that you are,
I'm not sure if
there's an item number 6 that you are abstaining.
I think from all of it, yeah.
From all of
Yeah,
it?
I think I have to since it's a consent. Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, Meredith,
So, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
okay, we have a motion, all those in favor, and let the record show that Commissioner Akula is abstaining from vote, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let it show that Commissioner Starrett and Commissioner Wilson voted in favor of approving the consent agenda with Commissioner Akula abstaining. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Okay, that will go ahead and take us down to old business. And old business, the first thing we have is a non-consent agenda items for a topic for discussion. The first thing will be discussion and consideration of an
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, that was the non-consent agenda. For old business, we have none.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Non-consent agenda, the first thing we have is discussion and consideration of an exclusivity proclamation. And I noticed we have several people here that it looks like would like to testify. So again, I'll ask you to keep your comments short and so we can make sure we have enough time to let everybody voice their comments. So the first one I have is Susan Meredith. So Susan, if you want to come up and say your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Susan Meredith. I live at 14100 Southwest.
Can you pull the microphone?
Oh, yes, you got about it after. My name is Susan Meredith, and my address is 14100 Southwest McCabe Chapel Road in Eastonville. I have just a short sentence to say. I understand the unborn are being, it's being proposed.
Still can't hear.
I understand that the classification unborn are being proposed to be included in this what is it called, proclamation? And in my mind, the unborn are by default of being already an integral part of any woman's body, already included in any inclusivity proclamation. Therefore, there is no reason whatsoever to identify them separately in this proclamation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susan. Okay, and now Joni Zimmerman. Joni? And again, just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Joni Zimmerman, and I live at 1101 West Sheridan Street in Newburgh. And I'm here to support the inclusivity proclamation language as proposed by Commissioner Kula, and I strongly do not support the proposed additions from Commissioner Starrett. This seems like a politicized attempt on the part of Commissioner Starrett to sabotage the attempt by Commissioner Kula to create a positive statement showing that we Yamhill County citizens support justice for all. The language submitted by Commissioner Starrett is redundant and ridiculous and seems like it would subject our county to ridicule and disdain. All the types of people the added language describes are already covered by the original language, I would suggest if Commissioner Sterrett wants more specific protections for certain classes of people, that she submit a separate proclamation or ordinance instead of muddying and complicating this one. And if she is really concerned about unborn children, that she makes sure that all women of childbearing age in this county have adequate nutritional food and housing and access to free medical care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zimmerman. The next one I have to speak is Susan Delventhal. So Susan, come on forward, please.
My name is Susan Delventhal. I live at 21300 Northeast Bald Peak Road, Hillsboro, Oregon. Although it's a Hillsboro address, I am a taxpayer and a voter in the county of Yamhill. I would like to thank the Commissioners Sterrett, Olson, and Kula for the opportunity to comment on this proposal of a proclamation of inclusivity for our community. I fully support the proposed recommendation by Commissioner Kula to adopt a proclamation of inclusivity for our community. As our county continues to grow, we have wonderful opportunity to embrace diversity, share new experiences, and work toward a community that is respectful, compassionate, and appreciative of each other. I find Commissioner Sterrett's version of the proposed inclusivity proclamation as just disingenuous and harmful to our community. A community inclusivity proclamation aims to affirm people of all races, religions, nationalities, gender, sexual orientation, physical and mental abilities, and cultures. It is meant to encourage the elimination of racism and oppression and prejudice in the community. With all due respect, Commissioner Sterrett, your version of the proclamation of inclusivity comes across as a partisan political maneuver and completely lacks the intent to bring our diverse community together. I am adamantly opposed to including preborn in this proclamation. If you want to go that route, Commissioner Sterrett, then I suggest you include all pregnant women, because without the woman, the preborn does not exist. Furthermore, I have to state I was surprised and saddened after I read your proposed proclamation of inclusivity, because you left out many groups of individuals that feel true, hurtful, and damaging prejudice, oppression, and or racism on a daily basis. This sends the message to the group of individuals that are not valued, they are not accepted, and they are not welcome in our community. This is really shameful. I would recommend that the county commissioners adopt the proclamation of inclusivity that has been proposed by Commissioner Kula. Thank you.
Okay, Tanya Tompkins. Tanya?
Tanya Tompkins, 925 Southeast Davis Street, McMinnville, Oregon. I also support the inclusivity proclamation that was offered by Commissioner Kula. I vehemently disagree with the inclusion of preborn in this proclamation. Unborn children are not a protected class. Abortion is legal in the U.S., including unborn seems to possibly set a legal precedent, contrary to state and federal laws, and this was something that Commissioner Sterrett in a prior meeting seemed to be concerned about with regard to legal status. I would further argue that not only does, quote, preborn present clear legal issues here, but it also presents troubling concerns with regard to the spirit of this proclamation, as others have attested to. It clearly shows that Sterrett can't leave her personal politics out of her role. If you actually look up preborn in the dictionary, it indicates that it means unborn. It is especially used by anti-abortion campaigners. I would argue that many folks who find themselves with an unwanted pregnancy or a pregnancy that is complicated by medical issues and requires termination would feel very unwelcome seeing the word preborn in an inclusivity proclamation. I know I would, especially considered that it was added by Sterrett, who wrote in defense of Eric Rudolph in 2003, 2 years before he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for bombing 2 abortion clinics, a lesbian nightclub, and the Atlantic Olympic Stadium. He, by the way, apologized to the families who lost loved ones in the Olympic bombing, but not to others. Leave this out.
Thank you very much. John Peterson, John, is this the one you want to testify on? We'll come forward then.
Good morning. So, John Peterson, 10623 Northeast Fox Farm Road, Dundee, Oregon. I'm going to read from it, it'll circle. I'm here this morning to voice my support for Commissioner Kula's Inclusivity Proclamation. I watched the Commissioner's discussion on the proclamation on YouTube, and I would like to add another perspective to the debate. My perspective focuses on sexuality because clearly I'm not a racial minority in this county. I grew up in Helena, Montana. I've known I was attracted to males since I was in elementary school. At age 17, I was outed to my parents by one of my best friend's parents. Thankfully, my parents were very accepting, but growing up in Montana, I knew the community was not. When I graduated high school, I got out of Montana as fast as I could. I can say with confidence to all 3 of you that moving to Portland in 2004 saved my life. I still remember the first time I saw 2 guys walking down the sidewalk holding hands downtown Portland. I was horrified for them. They're gonna get beat up, was all I could think. Slowly I began to realize that most folks in Portland were not too worried about men holding hands. Coming from cowboy country, this took a while to get used to. Where I grew up, anything that wasn't overtly masculine was labeled gay. I was called gay and fag many times growing up, even when I was dating a girl in high school. When I was a freshman in high school, an innocent young man named Matthew Shepard was brutally beat and crucified on a barbed wire fence in Wyoming, a place very similar to Montana and not very far from my hometown. His death haunted me and cemented my belief that I could never live as a gay man in Montana. Living in Portland allowed me the opportunity to meet many other people with identities of all kinds. There were spaces to gather where we could be ourselves without any fear of getting beat up. It took me several years, but after meeting the man of my dreams in 2009, I was finally proudly able to tell anyone that I met that I was gay. In 2012, Jeremy and I moved to Dundee to start a small farm. It was a little scary for us to leave the culture of the city and return to a small rural community. One neighbor asked us if we were brothers and didn't speak to us for over a year when I replied that we're actually partners. On a side note, these neighbors are now very friendly with us, but it took a while and the burden was on us. Other neighbors were more welcoming from day one, but still, Jeremy and I never hold hands anywhere in Yamhill County. So this brings me to the proclamation. I understand there are language changes that need to be made in order for all 3 of you to support it. I want to encourage you to consider that politics is not only about policy, but also about optics. Just this week, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the lower court's ruling that the Trump administration's ban on transgender troops in the United States military can remain in place while appeals work their way through the system. So what kind of message does that send to transgender Americans, including the ones living here in Yamhill County? I have one more quick story for you. I turned 18 in March of 2003, 7 days before the United States invaded Iraq. In my rural hometown, there was a lot of talk about patriotism, military service, and a potential draft. I was well aware of the military's don't ask, don't tell policy that was in place at that time, and I had heard the stories of men my age who wanted to fight for their country, but they were then outed, shamed, and ultimately discharged. I cannot describe to you the internal conflict a teenager goes through when they're hiding their sexuality and the government has the power to out them and effectively ruin their life. But I lived that reality and was terrified that a draft might happen and that my life might be ruined. And now, with the blessing of the highest level of our government, our society is doing the exact same thing to a different group of people, using the same exact excuses that were previously used against people like me. From my point of view, the point of this type of proclamation is optics. This is for those citizens of our county who are quietly watching